Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite Battle Royale tips and tricks video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to get more solo wins in Fortnite and more specifically about how to clutch up on these solo wins, because this is a game where I get a nice amount of kills. I get an 11 kill solo win here, but I also do it while having my back against the wall in terms of materials and shields when it comes down to the late game. And of course, ideally, you want to be prepared going into that late game with materials, with shields, with everything you need. That is the best way to do it, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, and that's basically what we're going to talk about. Going to analyze this gameplay here. By the way, pressure plant, because I know this is new, when it shows up with gold as the text, there are these things flying around where you can shoot them and they drop ammo as well as weapons, which are pretty nice and are at various locations around the map. Something new added within the patch as well, and that's why I went to pressure plant here on this game. I recommend, if there's ever ones that are gold that are sort of a stretch away from the battle bus, it's worth going there, because I got like pressure plant almost to myself here. Oh my goodness, I just realized watching this gameplay back, I literally missed a llama. There was a llama right there and I just realized it right now. right now. So leave in the comment section down below, give me an F in the comment section down below for missing that llama. Also smack a like on this video to help ease the pain a little bit. I really just found that out. Let's go for 450 likes. Smack that like button, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So you can see here I'm in a position where this is sort of where my mistake was. 27 left. I have a very nice inventory, and I've talked about this inventory before, where when you take the tack, you can you don't really need a finishing weapon as long as you make sure that when you have the tack, you play to the advantage of the tack, which is making sure those gunfights are up close, those shotgun battles. Anyway, right here I have a decent amount of materials, but I don't have anything crazy. This is the point and stage in the game where if I want to have the best odds to win the game, I could just be fully farming. However, I took a different approach this game and just went for sort of gunfights, because you can see here, of course, I had 2 kills. That was my 3rd kill. Snuck up on that player and won that fight quick. And that's what you have to do when you're third party in a fight like this. The players are probably already weak, and especially, like I say, playing to your inventory is such an important thing. It's never been more important than this season because of the variety of weapons and different combos that work well. I get height advantage on this player, and of course, just try to maintain height advantage. That's what it's all about. When people are trying to build up on you, trying to maintain that height advantage is a key. You can see there, he starts to build up. I don't try to shoot him down. I'm always making sure I'm maintaining the height advantage. First of all, I get this guy into a box, of course, make sure I get the wall replacement on him. He ends up pushing me like this, and I take him out with the tack, which those scenarios are a little bit more scary than they were in previous seasons, because in previous seasons, if you're a good player, you can just boom right in the head with the shotgun, which is easier said than done. Now it takes a couple more shots, even if you are accurate. Of course, if you're perfectly accurate, maybe not, but it's a little tougher. Anyway, I'm able to win that fight, and here is the point where I used all my big pots. So like I said, you don't need to have like an SMG or a drum gun with the tack. I think that you sort of not necessarily need to have it with the combat, but it's a lot more useful because with the combat, it's more of a switch off sort of style. Anyway, I decide to go with this right here, and then of course I take the drum gun instead of the blue SMG. I'm still a fan of the drum guns, especially when I have a good amount of ammo. So you can see at this point in the game, my problem isn't really, I don't have too much of a problem. I'm in a good spot. Taking those fights were good. I had 22 players left. I have 4 kills. I realized, okay, I'm just going to take the hamster ball. I'm going to farm up a little bit here, and I'm not in too bad of a position overall in this game at this point. But of course, you have to always be preparing for what's going to happen next, and always, it always comes down to how much do you want to get kills versus get the win. If I wanted to just get the win here, it probably would have been better to keep running past this player in my hamster ball. Anyway, I get boxed in here, which is very bad. Anyway, you don't want to get boxed in with another player, especially when you're trying to break out the wall and they're blocking you in. And I essentially just have to go for the spray off, which is with the tack, with the drum gun. In a scenario like that, those are not where you want to be in those 50-50 scenarios. You want to control the gunfight, and of course, like you can see what I do here, as soon as we get out of that box together, I'm controlling the gunfight out here. But when you are in those situations, I just jump around and spray. That's really all you can do. Jumping around makes it tougher for them to hit their shots. This guy, of course, gets away right again here. I cone him off. He gets out of that as well. And it was a tough fight. This guy was a decent player, but I eventually win the fight. And this is what happens with a lot of fights now on normal rules. Like in Arena, you get a decent amount of stuff from winning a fight. You don't really get that in this scenario. And anyway, I realized, okay, the storm is pushing. I have 3 jump pads. I might as well use my jump pad here to get out. If I didn't have an extra jump pad, maybe I would have used my glider there or something. But I think this was the right play, because not only did I do that, I knew there was a campfire over here. Just to my unluckiness, I guess you could say, right as I was about to campfire and mini up, there was another player putting the pressure on me. And this is the good and bad thing about Fortnite. Anything can happen. I'm in a very bad spot right here, but all I can do is hold off. Right here, I'm trying to buy time as long as I can, get as much of a heal as I can out of this. And then when I realize it's my opportunity to retake the high ground, and I know consciously I don't have that many mats, I do this. And I think this is a smart play here because this is a reposition. So I gain zone advantage. So this player now has to push to me. I also gain the advantage of having that campfire that I can sit on. Boom, look at that, 66, 33. That's 99 damage onto this player. I make the decision to leave my campfire and go for this fight right away, which is the right decision in this at this point. If I had full materials, I probably wouldn't do that, but I realized I kind of need to kill this guy and get some mats, get some extra. I mean, I have 3 minis still, but you can see I'm not in the best spot right here. I have this guy really weak. I have 121 health combined. I have not too many materials, and eventually that player just keeps on running. I make my way over here, and we're into sort of another bad spot where I heal up, and you can see at this point, my hope is that you always have to make the decision what's best. And here I'm third party in another fight, sort of unintentionally joining into this. I realize I have to win these fights. That's my only option here. The farm rates aren't enough where I can't just run away from fights and start smacking trees. At this point, I'm committing, I'm going for this fight, and I'm hoping that when I kill these players, they have a certain amount of loot. Now, this point in the game is very annoying because this is where you basically can't fight. When you realize you're fighting a player with no mats, you need to punish and take advantage of that. I literally cannot get up there to challenge this player, even if I wanted to. All I can do is either pickaxe his bases down or spray them down, which is what I do here. This guy, of course, I end up falling down even more, and I realize I'm in a really rough spot here. All I can do is force this gunfight to come down to me, or basically, that's pretty much all I have to do, because I need to get materials some sort of way. I, of course, pick up the materials off of looting that player, which was nice. This guy comes down to put the pressure on me, which was the right move, and when you're in a pressure situation like this, as long as you're, replacing those walls and holding it down, they shouldn't be able to get the replace. The guy gets the replace there because I basically sort of allow him the opportunity to, because I switched to my mini, which is a conscious decision that I made. I get some good damage in here, and like I said, it's all about trying to maintain high ground. Right here, I realized he was weak, so instead of trying to maintain high ground, I tried to go for that jumping off the side one shot for the kill, which works out a lot of the time, especially if you know the enemies are weak. But anyway, I end up moving. I realize this guy has to move as well, and I'm not in the worst spot, but 400 materials and not having 120 on the health isn't the best going into late game. I always say you want to have 150 to 200 and at least 1,000 to 1,500, probably more than that mats. So I'm able to farm up a little bit, and like I said, this game was one where I was just constantly fighting. I was in the mood for fighting, and this is when you're taking on constant fights like this, or even in some games when you're not and you're just getting unlucky with the fights that you're taking. Maybe you only have 3 kills, but those 3 kills were against Tfue, Ninja, and Cloaksy. You had the toughest gunfights in that game, Anyway, I'm putting the pressure on this guy and making sure, right here I realize there's a lot of players around, and you can see how I'm taking these gunfights and playing to the strengths, which is what's interesting about this season. When I use the tack, I'm winning all these gunfights pretty convincingly on a lot of them, but I'm taking a lot of damage, and that's sort of, some of it is my fault, some of it is not my fault. It's just the playstyle that I bought into and decided to go with. When you use attack, and that's why sort of with this season, what Epic Games is trying to do is even the playing field a little bit with the combat and the attack. I think those weapons that take longer staring at the enemy to end those gunfights than a pump, you're going to take more damage, which of course ends up making your end game a little bit harder. Right here, I realized this guy didn't seem to be the smartest player, so I wanted to get that gunfight done without taking too much damage. I guess at this point it didn't really matter because I was getting all these kills and I was getting a bunch of minis off of any of them, but I wasn't really getting materials and I wasn't getting health. So this is where it ended up coming down to. I have 125, 50 plus 75. I have great weapons. My weapons are no problem. My glider redeploy is awesome. My biggest problem here is health and materials, right? So what I'm doing is I chose to move to the zone right around the edge because I wanted to get to the edge that was already covered on the previous zone, so that there was probably less players hanging out there. The majority of players are pushing, straight through from where the biggest opening was into the next zone. So I wrap around the edge a little bit, of course, getting as much farm as I can off of anything that I can get. And then when it comes down to it, I realize I'm in the zone. I'm not in a position right here. I can either go for farm, which it's too small of a zone to go for farm, go for kills and loot, which is way too risky at this point. I have to wait it out. That's my smart move with having this much material. I have to wait it out, and that's what I decided to do. I know that I'm in this zone, and I want to realize where is this next zone going to be, and what is my game plan to attack it going to be. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about going into the late game. They just think about how do I survive right now, not thinking a zone or even 2 zones into the future. So what I realize here is, okay, zones, it's not on me, but I have a good spot to rotate into it. So I'm going to use some mats. I realize I only have 300 mats or whatever. I'm going to use some to build up here, and I'm going to chill. And my game plan at this point was to really just wait it out. I had a jump pad. I had gliders. I wanted to not be spotted by these players. Of course, I got to take shots at that because that was sort of a free angle. I end up knocking any of damage in because they're blew my accuracy, I guess you could say. I hear someone below me, and my plan is basically wait it out and then escape into the next zone using a jump pad, and then just try to stay as... I just want to challenge the last player at this point. I didn't want to get any kills. I don't want to go fully aggressive because I don't want to risk it because I realize I'm not in the best spot. But at the other hand, that still ends up working with getting me pretty much all of these kills because that guy was right there fighting another player. This guy was sliding in for the easy cleanup, and then this last player ended up putting the pressure on, which the landing in trees is so overpowered because most players just don't think about it. But if you're someone that uses a glider redeploy like myself very often, it's very, very nice to use. Whether you have a bunch of mats or, of course, not having a bunch of mats, I was able to save so many mats and not worry about it using them on the rotation because of a jump pad. Because of my glider, I was able to land in the tree as well. I use the mats that I do have, and when it comes down to a 1v1, it's always about knowing. I was like, okay, I have 300, so I can make this fight last a little bit, but not too long. I'm able to pace it out and clutch up this win, which I honestly shouldn't have had. I was in a tough spot from the late game all the way towards the end, but we made it happen, and we won those fights that we went for, and we used what we had to be able to clutch up that win. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys made it to the end of the video, and that's about it. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.